Hi, Cancers. Oh, I'm so happy to sit with my moon children. Yeah, you all are very special in my world. I appreciate you so much. My heart just opens when I think about you all. Mm, so good. And here we are in October 2019. What a month, y'all. As I've been feeling out what is coming in for this month, it's like, whoa. There are certain months that just pop. They've got this like directionality to them where it's crisp. It's focused, it's intensive, it's driven, it's clear. There's this power to it. And the way that it's hitting in Cancer is really interesting because it hits into your some seventh house conversations, and a ton of energy is pouring into your fifth house, fourth and fifth house. So your seventh house is your relationships, your fourth house is home and family, and your fifth house is your heart and your romance. So it's hitting all the places for you guys that have to do with how you care, how you love, how you nurture. And it's in the context of this really intensive, powerful month. So I'll start shuffling. I'm going to go through the transits and why this month is the way that it is. And then we'll talk about how that fits in with you. High Priestess plopped right out. Gotta have some intuition here, right? So Pluto's going direct in Capricorn. It's been retrograde. Another card wants to come out. Two of Wands. Yes. Pluto has been retrograde since April. And it goes retrograde half the year, every year, so this isn't an unusual transit. But when Pluto goes direct, what's been happening is we've been combing over some points where maybe we've been working with obsession or with old shadows, with old versions of self, and kind of combing through them, going back over them. So when Pluto goes direct, we take all the gifts of that retrograde and we start moving it forward. For you, Capricorn's your opposing sign, and you have the north node of the moon in your sign right now. But over on your opposing sign in your relationship sector, we have Saturn, Pluto, and the south node doing some really deep shadow work with where there's overgiving. And just as I said shadow work, these two cards came out. Five of Cups, Eight of Pentacles. Where you overgive, where you feel unworthy, all of that's been coming up. But now with Pluto direct, we're starting to shift gears here. And there's a lot of power in what's coming up. Now, the other thing that's happening, Chariot, hey, you guys are showing up in your own reading. I love it. A lot of energy is starting to move into Scorpio early on in this month. So even though we're in Libra season, your fellow cardinal sign of Libra, and there's a lot of energy here for your home and your family and your internal world, including Mars moving into Libra on the 8th, there's a lot of movement towards Scorpio already. Mercury moves into Scorpio on the 3rd. Venus moves into Scorpio on the 8th. And then the Sun moves onto Scorpio on the 23rd. And as we have this energy starting to pour more and more into Scorpio, we're heading more and more into your creative heart sector, your romantic sector, how you share of your creativity and your vision. And we're also, Mercury, once it goes into Scorpio, is starting to do pre-shadow Mercury retrograde stuff. So the retrograde doesn't begin until October 31st, but the whole of this retrograde is happening in Scorpio. Fellow water sign in your fifth house. And I find that pre-shadow phases can often be intense, more intense than the retrograde itself, because you are combing over things. And you're choosing you're deliberately choosing things. So you may be finding, with Venus and Mercury kind of talking in Scorpio here, that you're really talking through your intentions and being very deliberate about what you are creating and being very deliberate about what you are inviting in. Hermit. One more card. Or three more cards. Judgment, Star, and the Emperor. Wow, okay. Let's just get all the major arcana in there while we're at it. Why don't we, Cancer, huh? So there's a lot of growth going on here, and like I said, these energies are actually very supportive of you. The way that these transits are happening are in a nice flow with you. They are welcoming, but they're also challenging you to say, step into this, right? Like, this is very truth-seeking energy. Mercury and Venus in Scorpio and Mars and Libra and Pluto direct in Capricorn are all very truth-seeking transits. They want to communicate about things, they want to get to the truth of it, and they want to know, and they want to make plans, and they want to focus. And so that energy is working with you when it comes to the relationships you want to have, the creative life you want to have, the love you want to have, and how you want to share of yourself, which means you're having to show up in ways that feel kind of big, even if they're really exciting. And for you, what I'm seeing here is like a ton of excitement with some release of some old emotion. And that's a lot of what this month is about. It's like a ton of growth, ton of expansion, ton of connectivity with some release. And that's generally happening for a lot of signs. So we start with High Priestess, which her is your first message. I'm just going to say, it's like, trust your intuition, trust your guiding intuition. High Priestess and Two of Wands are very visionary, right? They are daydreamy. They allow us to dream in the way that our higher self dreams, right? Not the way that the super practical, like, curmudgeon dreams, you know what I mean? Like, we have that part of ourselves that's kind of like, doesn't want to let ourselves have the bigger dream, and so kind of just dreams and kind of boring ways, right? The High Priestess and the Two of Wands are those things where it's like we have that vision, we have that heart thing, and we let ourselves go there and envision it and take the armor off, the casing off that says, oh, maybe we shouldn't want that right now, and says, I'm going to let myself feel and dream this, right? That's what the High Priestess and the Two of Wands are inviting you to do. These are doorways. She sits between two pillars. He stands between two wands. And they are saying, you know, this is kind of an interesting time for you because these are doorways, right? This isn't about staying in one state a little bit and then in another state. It's much more like commitment energy here. Right? There's a lot of commitment energy in this reading, and like that doesn't just have to be with relationships. Obviously, that it can be about committing to who you are now. It can be about committing to the work you're doing. It can be about committing to the things you are working on, the things you are creating. However your commitment is coming in, there's a really strong theme here of that. And it always begins here in this energetic field before it's reflected externally. If we don't give ourselves that permission on that landscape, it doesn't link up the same level on the external, right? So we always have to start there. Now, what's really interesting for me is Five of Cups is another gateway card. It's one of my favorite energies, actually, because yes, it is a grief card. It can be about crying over what has been spilled, what has been lost, what cannot be recaptured, the heartache that comes with loss of things that we know will never come back. However, a lot of times I find Five of Cups comes up when we're at that point where we know we're not going back to these spilled cups, but we also know that it's time to really embrace the cups ahead of us. And I often find that when we are in such a big time of expansion like this, that we have to have a bit of this dialogue of Five of Cups in the mix, because we need to take a moment to connect with all that was, you know, all the people we've been, all the times we've felt unworthy of things or we've held ourselves, and just take a moment to honor it. That's it. However you want to do that, however you're feeling through that, you may find that you're having moments of nostalgia, of looking back a little bit, right? And that's okay, just as long as you don't let it catch you up, because you are meant to be looking at these cups. Because look at the next three cards, my friends. This is, you know what I like about this? This is abundance, but it's very practical. There's a real world element to these cards. Eight of Pentacles, Chariot, Page of Pentacles. You know, there's a physical presence to these energies. You know, it's not just like, yeah, I'm just feeling it. It's like, yes, you're feeling it. Also, things are happening. Life is moving. There are opportunities abounding for you. There are things moving in the world for you. Now, one thing I'm noticing is, you know, what you do in the world, how you create, whether that's in writing, thinking, speaking, art, teaching, you are leveling up. You're getting better. You're mastering your craft. You're doing something that really connects with you. You're also leveling up when it comes to relationship and partnership. The Chariot is very much, it is about that new pathway. You know, you are the cardinal water sign. What a cool placement. And Chariot is one of your cards in tarot. And it is about balance, but the Chariot's about commitment. It's committing to that path. Chariot is all about that balanced commitment to path, to seeing a vision for yourself moving forward. And I tell you what, all three of these cards, it's like when you see the vision and you just start putting the work in to make it happen, right? Like the inspired actions are just flowing out of you. This is not sit back and just see what happens kind of energy. It's kind of one of those times where you're in flow, things are working, and it's all about, you know, the next thing just happens and the next thing happens, and you know, you just feel inspired to pick up the phone and make that phone call and set up that appointment. You feel inspired to set up that new place you're going to be living. You feel inspired to, you know, get the work done, do the reading, get the meetings rolling, have the conversations. All of that's coming in, and it's just happening very naturally. A lot of times if I see energies like this in a reading, what I kind of see is it's like it's almost bigger than you, right? Like, yes, you consciously are the individual that's saying yes to this and feeling good about it and wanting it and moving on it. But it's like it's moving through you. The energy is moving through you because it's your inner being, higher consciousness facilitating rather than, you know, just your conscious mind like making things happen. It's working through you in a much bigger way. So the best thing I can say if you're working with this energy, which is so much about exponential growth, is relax as much as possible just mentally. Because practically you're going to be doing a lot. Like a lot's going to be happening, right? Now here's what's interesting with you all, because there's so much abundance here. And there's so much happening with you moving on things, like taking big steps. Like life is this just big, show-stopping energy here. And the bigger the show-stopping energy, the bigger the vision coming in, the more we want to make sure we check in with the deeper roots of things, right? It's like as above, so below. So the more you're expanding out this way, the more you need to be expanding out in the depths. And as we get closer to the end of October and into early November, especially here in the Northern Hemisphere, but also Southern, that shift, the shifts of light and energy during this time of year is very close to ancestral energy, right? And so this is where we release any old ancestral storylines. This is where we release any old patterning. Hermit and Judgment are very deep energies. The Hermit is your ancestral wisdom in many ways. You know, this is about ancient wisdom. This is about the older wisdom, the quieter wisdom that is only heard and seen when we listen, right? Closely and intently when we go on a vision quest. The Judgment card is tied to Pluto. It's tied to death and resurrection. It's tied to forgiveness of old pain, release of old pain. And you know, these don't have to be splashy on the surface, but what I do notice here with these energies is that there is a permission giving thing going on here, with you giving yourself permission to move forward. Also, I think sometimes we think of maybe those deeper, juicy parts of ourselves as something we just have to like go and lick our wounds and like be alone with it. But these are also parts of yourself that in whatever process that's illuminating, and in deeper relationships and partnerships, this can be actually space that is very appreciated and welcomed and wanted, and doesn't need to just be hidden inside of yourself. It's something that you can actually share in very productive and loving ways. And because this is a month of going deep and being truthful and being open and seeking and finding and knowing, and it's just this energy that's moving through the cosmos at this time, this is a beautiful time to share of this aspect of yourself in ways that maybe you wouldn't have before. Because here's the thing. You've got, sometimes I get goosebumps, and that was one of those times. You've got the Star and the Emperor here at the end of the month. These are visionaries. The Star, yes, it is a good luck omen, right? You know, everybody, the Star is a beautiful card. None of us can argue with the beauty of the Star. She's so lovely. She's expansion, though, right? She takes us beyond the scope of our little solar system. Breaks it open, asks us to move forward, to heal, to grow, to expand, to revolutionize our lives, and to say yes to something beyond what we thought we were worthy of before. And the Emperor is stepping into your power. Now, maybe you have an Aquarius and Aries, or a Virgo, or another Cancer, or a Pisces. There's a lot of energies here that, yes, maybe they connect with somebody you know in your world. But the Emperor, I think, is about you owning your spot. The Emperor can see. He's the father archetype. And the father archetype is able to step into that empowered role and to make deliberate choice. You know, the sacred masculine of father is this directional energy, right? Of focus, of seeing, and then taking the right action. And so both the Star and the Emperor, they give a flavor to this time as very focused, very decisive, making choices, choosing pathways, right? And these are amplified energies. It's not just about little decisions, it's like agreements on big things. Opening on big things, building on big things, building on big things. I think a lot of you are going to be finding a deeper sense of purpose in what you do in the world and how you share of your creative gifts, which is such a great thing. Because if that's where you're coming from, guess what? Your relationships improve immediately. Your sense of fun amplifies. And your sense of opportunity when it comes to monetary resources grows when we feel really in alignment with how we use our energy in the world, right? And just keep in mind, you know, you're just going to be feeling like it's time. There may even be like kind of an itchy impatience to just dive in and just do it. I just want to be doing this. I want to be doing all this stuff. Let's go, let's go, let's go, which is really good. I think that's a good energy to have. I think it's time for that. And you may be finding that eagerness really deep in your bones for just going for stuff. Just going for it, maybe even beyond a sense of reason that you have sometimes, because Cancers, you do have actually a very strong voice of reason in you that's like very practical, and I think it's like you've developed it to kind of help you navigate this physical world a little bit better, but it's like that voice is, you're just not even interested in this month. It's like you want to just be in there doing the thing. And I actually had like a little moment where I just thought of this little, it's kind of a prayer, I guess, or a wish for you guys for this month, and this is what it is. So may this be a time of feeling your light internally and gazing out and connecting to those external lights that click with you and help you to set intention towards those with the matching warm energies to you. Hopefully that made sense. You know, there's like this sense of you kind of glowing, and in finding that inner glow and finding that inner connectiveness, you're connecting to the other points of light that connect with you, and that is helping you to dive and jump straight into this huge new energy arc that I see coming in for you, and I'm really excited about it. It's so good. I get all like warm fuzzy feelings for the Cancer fam when I'm sitting here reading with you. My stomach just like, ooh. Yeah, so I have a handful of appointments still left on my calendar. So if you're looking to get a one-on-one appointment with me, I would highly recommend you hop over to my calendar, which I'll leave my link in the description box so you can go check that out, because I would love to work with you guys before the end of 2019. I started my Patreon as well, and I'm really excited. So I have and will be having weekly astrology forecasts. So you get a sense of what the transits are, how to work with the energy, and how to feel through it every week. You also get access to things like the Pluto going direct video, Mercury going retrograde in Scorpio video, which I haven't put up yet, but I will be very shortly. You'll also get access to me discussing tarot tips and tricks, learning how to use it, my own personal journey with being sensitive and finding ways and tools to use that. So there's going to be a ton of useful resources for you in that portal, in that Patreon. So it's one tier. Once you sign up, you get access to everything. There's going to be new content every single week. It's a really great place for you to dive a little deeper and get all the resources and help that maybe you are looking for if you're wanting to connect with the energetic waves that are always working with us and carving out space and time and how we feel through it. So if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend go checking that out. You can also find me on Instagram at Sarah Verba, or on my website, SARAHTAROT.com. All of that info, I'll leave it all in the description box for you. You can also connect with PinkLune and her gorgeous jewelry. As always, I will leave her Etsy shop below. She's always got something beautiful sitting over there, so if you're looking for something for your altar or anything like that, she has always something beautiful to offer. I love you guys so much. I will see you in November. Whoa, that's so weird. And I hope you have a beautiful, blessed, and brilliant October.